Odell, complete concrete. Odell, complete concrete.
All right, we're back at the old homestead, and what we're going to be doing today is starting the patio cover build. It's going to go right along the front of the house here. And if you had watched my previous video, I mean, it was a while ago. It was probably about a good couple years ago I did this patio here. It's a tan color with a Belgium slate, seamless texture, integral color. I've got a couple coats of sealer on there. I've resealed it once in 2 or 3 years it's been here. We're going to do a detached patio cover. What that means is we're not attaching to the house. This is a manufactured home, so these eaves and the type of materials they use to build these is not really recommended to attach to. So we're doing a freestanding. We're going to have posts along the house, and we're going to come out here 10 feet or so, and then we'll put another set of posts. We're using 4x4 posts, and we're using 4x6 beam, 2x6 joists, and we're going to use a metal roof just like on this garage here. And you can see I've got corrugated steel, just a galvanized color, and that's what we'll be using on this. And this patio concrete that I put in here a few years ago, it's 6 inches deep. It's got at least 4 inches of road base. It also has the Owens Corning pink bar in there at 2-foot centers. There's not a crack in it. It's super solid. So I'm going to be using some retrofit 4x4 post anchors. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, but here's some of the materials right here. This is all sourced from Lowe's. So these 4x6s are going to be the beams. They're going to sit on top of the 4x4s, and I'm approximately 10-foot spacing on the 4x4s. So my beams are going to split the difference on top of these 4x4s, because I have a nice strap, which I'll show you how that connector goes. Here's your aluminum cover for the top, and here's your 2x6s. That's for your roof, your joists, or rafters, I guess you could call it. So over here, I'll show you some of the connectors that I've got. Here is the 4x4. It's got a 5/8 expansion bolt in there. Where's my expansion bolts? Here they are. Here's what it looks like. 5-inch long. So they'll be in there about a good 4 inches into the concrete. And the 4x4 to the 4x6, a crucial connection. And that's going to be this item here. This is going to set. This sets just like this, and right in the middle here, right in the middle of this strap, will be where the two 4x6s come together, and then the 4x4 drop straight down. What else do we have here? We got all galvanized. I went all galvanized on my lag bolts that are going to be connecting a lot of my little angles. I'm going to have angles inside the 4x6, 4x4. That'll prevent any leaning or movement on the whole system. Then also what I have for my joist on the top, this right here will nail to the 4x6, and then the 2x6 will go right through here and attach. What else do we have here? Here's my galvanized bolts. These will be going through the 4x4 brackets right here, just like so. And I do have washers on both sides. So we got a 1/2-inch drill bit. I've got this 1/2 inch. Then I've also got a paddle or spade, 1/2 inch, that'll drill my 4x4s, push the bolts through, tighten her up. On my connectors, all my screw holes for the connectors, I've got these. This is your SD connector. That goes through all of these holes, ties everything together. Well, that's it, man. We're going the distance right here. It's gonna be nice. Here comes Eric. There's my automatic gate openers, working like a charm. Eric has arrived. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay plastic on this driveway right here. Then I'm gonna take all the lumber, spread it out, paint it all up. And the type of paint that I'm using is Sherwin-Williams. This is their top of the line paint. They're emerald. So it's a one and done, no primer needed with this stuff. I've got white, and then I've got a color that's similar to this, and the pump house, the well house. So eventually that house will get painted too as well. But right now this cover is going to be white fascia. I'm going to do white fascia on the patio cover. Posts are going to be the tan color. And then eventually I'm going to do that whole house. That wraps it up. Let's get into time-lapse mode. Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. Right now I'm covering all the concrete with plastic prior to painting. That way I don't have a big mess on the new concrete. Well, that concrete's probably about a year old, and I can attach a link to it on the process of pouring that, the patio slab, everything I've done around here. I'll put it all in the playlist. I'll have it all in the playlist under property development. This entire project here, the whole house set up from beginning to end and where we are today. Big transformation in 3 years. All right, there's a few staples in this wood, so I've got to remove all those before I paint. That way I get paint everywhere. Because if I paint first, pull staples later, then I've got spots where there is no paint. So the chef's got his apron on. He doesn't want to get any paint on himself. So that was a good move. He's going white, I'm going tan. He's working the white. That's your fascias, which are 2x8. And your rafters are 2x6. The 2x8s will be 1.5 inches above. The 2x6 will be flush on the bottom. That will allow for me to attach the metal corrugated flush to the 2x4s that will be on top of the rafters. There's a little paint spill right there. And there's your cleanup, just soap and water. Get it while it's wet and it comes off real easy. Water-based paint. This was the first day of painting. And then the second day we had Eric's girlfriend come over, Mickey, and then she started painting. All right, day 2. We've got one coat on one side so far. So now we've got to flip them all, catch the rest of the ends, get it all painted up, and then we can start assembling on day 3. That's where we're at. It's just back to painting. Let's do it. All right, day 2 of painting. Mickey and Eric are in the painting routine now. So this is a lot easier painting it on the ground than once you get it in the air. So that's why I would recommend anybody building a cover, paint it first. Here we are on day 3. We did about, let's see here, we did about 4 hours each day, 2 days of painting on all this. Went through 5 gallons of the brown, or this tan color. And then on the white we did, let's see, well, you can see there's not much white, so probably around 1 gallon of white so far. So now what we're gonna do today, I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling. I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting these. What I've gotta do, okay, these are gonna be your ceiling or your roof joists. So they're gonna be on a slight angle. I'm gonna probably have 1 foot of slope. So I'm gonna have to cut each one of these ends on a slight angle. That way my fascia, I'm gonna have a 2x8 fascia, the whiteboards over there. They're gonna go to the end. They're gonna set up 1.5 inches, so the bottom will be flush. And then I'll run 2x4s in this direction all the way across the joist. And that'll be where I tie on the metal. Also, I think what I'm gonna do is start anchoring my 4x4s, drilling, cleaning the holes, tightening them up, get all those positioned, and then I'll have the dimensions that I want. So basically, the way posts are gonna set, because it's not attached to the house, I'll have posts on both sides. You know, probably one within a foot of the house, but you don't want posts in front of windows. So what I've done here is I've positioned the posts, you know, not in front of the windows or the door. That way when you're looking out, you don't have a post in the way, or if you want to do anything like clean the windows or something like that, or just pull the screens out, you don't have a post in the way. So basically, I'm going to get these anchored on both sides. That'll give me my span from post to post. That'll tell me my joist length, and then also I'll know the distance between each post to start cutting my 4x6 beams, because they're not all the same. Each one of these are not the same length. My posts are going to be at different span all the way across the front of this house, and the reason that is because I'm missing windows and doors, but I want to be under 10 feet, you know. So some locations, like here's a mark here, that'll be one post. And then if you go over here, I have another mark here. I marked these quite a while ago, so I got to double check them. But I think some of them are like 9 feet, some are 10, you know, but they vary. So once I get this side of the post set, I'll just transfer that to the outside and duplicate those locations. And we'll take some hard numbers from post to post across to give me my length of my rafters, you know. Let's do it. All right, this is kind of the moment of truth. What I'm doing, I'm bringing over the beams, laying them where they're gonna go to miss windows and doors. Once I get them all lined out here, I'll just space the brackets for the 4x4s right at wherever they come together, the 4x6s. So this concrete is 6 inches deep, so I can go pretty deep and get a really good anchor in here. A 4-inch slab, I don't know that would work that well. Attaching something like this to it, you'd probably just blow the bottom out trying to get something in there. I centered those two brackets evenly spaced on each side of the door, so it kind of looks like an entry if you're standing out on the driveway looking back. And if you'll notice how my beams are set on the ground, they're both on the right side of the bracket, so the spacing was correct. It just wasn't in the actual bracket at that point. Right there, I'm rigging up a template for my rafter tail cut. All these marks that you see here are based on the slope that the patio cover is going to be on, because these are all the rafters. So I want both ends to be plumb for the actual. So basically what we're doing is we're cutting all the rafter tails on a slight angle. That way the fascia would be plumb on there. And the first cut that I made, I ended up just using a scrap piece of 2x6, and that was my template for every cut. All right, we're back on site again. And here's where we're at. I've already marked with the template all these angle cuts. I've already cut all those. So I took one over here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Get a level. I'm gonna plumb up on these rafter tails just to see if I cut them right. So here's basically, this is basically it simulated, but on the ground, but just higher. We got the same slope, the same distance. So we got 6 inches right here. I just put that little block under there to give me that 6 inches. Because these posts over here will be 6 inches higher than this side. So there's your slope. Now that gives you an idea how it will look once it's raised. Let's look at this. Let's see if these are, this is kind of the cut I was working on. Let's see how accurate it is. We plumb it up. So it looks like the cut's good. That means my fascia, you know, this thing right here is gonna be plumb. So now the question is what hardware do I want to hang on this stuff before I raise it? I'm thinking I have 2 options. I can hang the hardware that holds this to this. I can hang it on here before, or I can hang it on here before I raise it. So that's the question. The question is, do I hang the hardware off of this one before I put this up on top, or do I hang the hardware on this before I put it on top? So I'm thinking, to eliminate a lot of guesswork, you attach to this one. That way you know it's in the right place, and all you have to do is slip this into it. Then you would screw here on the sides. Would be easier to screw just one direction here, but there is more room for error. So I'm gonna think that over. Let me know what you guys would do first. Well, I gotta cut these 4x4s now. So we got 7 10-footers. We got 7 8-footers. 8-footers will be on the front. The 10s I'm gonna cut down to 8'6". I'm just gonna leave the 8s as is and build off of that. Here's my mark. I've already got her marked up right here. I marked all 7 of these at 8'6", so that's your slope. Plus, the patio has a little slope, so we might actually have 8 inches overall, to be honest. And I can tell already those white boards for the fascia, they're gonna need another coat of paint for sure. No doubt about that. All right, let's get down to business. Now that I've cut all my 4x4 posts to height, what it is on one side they're 8'6", and then the other side they're just the standard 8-foot length. So I had to buy some 10-foot posts, in other words, and I cut them down to 8'6". I can't exceed 10 feet. You know, this is all done without a permit because it's detached. You know, and if it was attached, then you'd have to get a permit, and technically you can't even get a permit to attach to a manufactured home. So basically you have to do a detached, and it has to be under 10 feet. So I'm right there by the time I get my sheeting on and everything, I'm within about 3 to 4 inches of 10-foot height when it's all said and done. Because I'm going to be over the top of my roof on this thing, because I want the wind to be able to blow through it from all directions. So I built above the roof of the house. Here's all the angle brackets. I'm prepping everything so that, you know, I don't have to have a lot of people here every day to get all this prep. I can do all this myself. And then once I bring Eric back in, it's just a matter of assembling the Lego kit. All right, here's where we're at today. Starting out early in the morning, we're gonna try to get some hardware attached to either the beams or the joist of rafters. What I'll do is lay out right here on top of these beams. I'll get the spacing correct on the beams, lay the rafters on top, simulate the slope, the 6 inches slope that I have. Then what I'll do is I'll try to line up those brackets on those rafters. So I get them plumb down so that they hook up. So I'd rather hook up to the rafters rather than the beams. So I think that's just gonna make it so much easier to assemble in the air. If I get those on first, it'll give me the spread. It'll make it so I just have to screw in this direction rather than both sides. So that's what we're gonna do. Basically, there's your slope. That's what it's gonna look like in the air. Now here's how I'm gonna get the brackets at the right location. So I'm gonna attach all my brackets to the rafters before doing anything. So once I get this particular one set up with these brackets on this first rafter, I'll use that as a template for all the rest and build them exactly the same. And we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, Ace, baby. My first stop, it's 8:30 Sunday. I'm not even sure if that place will be open yet, to be honest. I'm gonna pay double, but you know, for convenience purposes, I mean, in a small order, it's doable. Back here in the nuts and screws of things, Simpson SDS screws. Here's the things that I have. Hey.
Good morning. Do you have an ace number with us? Under David?
Yes.
All right. You want a bag today?
No, it's fine.
It's $19 even, please.
Yeah, so I had to go to Ace. My initial shopping spree at Lowe's didn't have enough screws, so I went and got another box. You know what I did for the pricing on this? Which is probably, you know, this is pretty much a DIY project for sure. So what I did is I got an estimate. I put all my materials on a list, went to Home Depot, got a price from them. They printed it out. I took a look at that. Then I took that price list right over to Lowe's, gave that list to them, and they said, oh yeah, we're gonna beat that price, no problem. And that's what they did. So I ended up getting everything at Lowe's. Next time I might start at Lowe's and end up at Home Depot, you know, mix it up a little bit. But that's how you can get your best prices. That's the beauty of, you know, competition. So right now, as I'm attaching all these, I've already pre-cut all my joists. There are or rafters. I've already cut them on the right batter so that when they go up, they'll be plumb. Now I have a little block of wood that's cut that I can hold it on the end of each one of these and then screw in the bracket. And that's kind of my template. So the way these brackets are on there, I think there's a certain fixed number in between them, and those will be on the inside of those 4x6 beams. Here's that template I was talking about. So one side is square, the other side's on the batter, the same, and that gives me a plumb line straight down to attach to that beam. And the space is all the same all the way down. So this thing right here, it puts my beams at the top perfectly spaced equally, which also makes it plumb because the bottom's already going to be fixed, drilled into the concrete. So it does two things at once by doing it this way. Unless, of course, the whole structure is leaning one direction or the other, then of course it wouldn't be plumb, but all you have to do is plumb one side, it'll move both sides at the same time, and then throw one of those 45 brackets in there, and then you just locked it in. We'll show all that too. So I've got the impact wrench on these 4x4s. I did that the same technique, anchoring the brackets down. So you can see the height now that it's over the top of the roof. And on the other side, 6-inch difference, plus the slope of the patio, another 2 inches. So you have 8-inch total in that distance of slope on the roof. There's other types of brackets you can use, but I just got the best ones available. But you can save some money on the brackets and get some cheaper designs that kind of do the same thing, but not quite as well. These ones are all hurricane rated. Then you can use nails for these brackets, but I'm using the structural screws. So either or, screws or nails, but they both have to be structural. In other words, they're stronger than a typical nail. So once I get this first one in, it's important that the distance at the bottom is the same as the top. Plumbing doesn't really matter at this point. As long as the distance at the bottom and top are the same, you can plumb the whole all of them at the same time by pushing them back and forth, as long as the span is equal, top and bottom. You know, I could have got on a Luma wood kit or something like that, but it would have been a really custom kit because of all the things I'm trying to negotiate around, like the windows, doors, and all that. And every post is at a different measurement across. So wood for me was the best. Not only that, I can attach things to it much easier than I could. Say in a Luma wood, I can hang potted plants from this, misters, solar powered lighting. It's real easy to hang off of wood. Metal, I don't know what you do. Put a bunch of holes in it or something, and then you got a mess. These 2x6s weren't the straightest in the world, that's for sure. A lot of them were twisted. I had to probably throw away about 6 or 8 of these 2x6s. That's the problem. I didn't hand select them. I had them put the package together. But I did make a note to say, hey, this is finished product. I want the straightest wood. You know, when they go through it to select what we're going to be using here. But you know, it still didn't work out as well as I would have liked it to. I had to go back and get more lumber that was straighter. You know, I recommend hand picking all your own lumber, even if you have to go through an entire bunk of it. I mean, hit 4 or 5 places till you get the lumber that you like, because that will save you a lot of time and trouble in the long run. So at every post, I've also got a 4x4 running across. That way I can get a good kicker in there from post to 4x4 on the top. So that's your cross bracing. But this whole thing cost, with the paint, everything, and all the hardware, you're looking at $4,000. Now, if you were to purchase something like this, you're probably looking more like, I don't know. I would say if I would do this for somebody, probably have to be around 10 or 12,000 to build this. You know, because 4,000 in material plus all my labor. This project took me about 5 days. This is just a little dress up on the post, some 2x6 sandwich on that 4x4. Kind of hides the brackets, also just gives it a little more decorative look. Now right here, this chalk line is going to be for a 2x4 laying flat on there. That's for the corrugated steel to lay on top. So it'll lay on top of the 2x4s, and then it'll lay right on top of that fascia board that's going to be 1.5 inches high above the rafters. This is a really simple build, easy to do. It's just all planning. Once you have the right plan and you pre-assemble everything, it's just, I mean, if you ever worked with Legos, then you can do this. This is giving you an idea of what it looks like. So we were using it, we have a 2x4 set on top of the rafters, just with scrap lumber. That way we know the height of this fascia, and that'll put it at the top of those 2x4s we have running across the rafters. The bottom is pretty much flush, so you could go by that alone, just lining up the bottom 2x8 fascia to the bottom of rafters. You could always go that route, but I like working from the top because that's what I'm going to be attaching to. This makes a huge difference. Wait till you see the end views of this and some drone shots when this is completed. It really looks good. Here's a little touch up I had to do. I wanted to do that before I got the siding up, so that's what I did. Touched up a little paint here and there. Debating whether or not to paint those brackets. So far I haven't. So on this steel, the way it goes on, there's a flat part to it, and then so the flat part, there's a little about 1/2 inch flat piece, and you can see it here on the left. See how it's only on one side of the steel. That's always has to be on the bottom underneath. So you don't want to lay that on top of the next panel. I'm a little bit careful on walking on the top of it, trying to span my weight over my points of 2x4s and rafters, because otherwise this stuff could bend or kink. It's a pretty thin gauge material. You know what's funny is before I could even complete the entire roofing project, because I mean I didn't really rush through this project, I just did it little by little. Yeah, so anyway, a bird nest. You know, I got a lot of the roof up on half of this, then I took like a day off and then started putting more roofing on because I was one panel short. By the time I got the other panel and went back on the roof, there was already one nest being built underneath, bird nest. And now I'm sitting on 2 nests in there 3 weeks later. But I mean, I'm gonna leave them in there. They're not, they can't really do any damage to it. But they did like the idea of nesting underneath that patio cover. And I'll show you where they're nesting once we get a good view of it. Okay, here's Eric trying to kind of straighten out this 2x6 because it was so twisted. But he put a screw in, pulled it back with the hammer to try to straighten it up. And that seemed to work pretty good. So that first section we already have the metal on. Now the spacing of these rafters, 2x6s, they're about 2 feet apart. See how the bracket fits on the inside of each, so that makes the beams all parallel with one another all the way down. If I did everything right on the ground, my fascia should just screw right onto the ends of those rafter tails and should work out real nice. And that's exactly what happens as we go through this. So I'm pre-drilling on these because I don't want to split any wood. And I'm using galvanized screws. I think those are 6-inch. 6-inch galvanized 3/8. Everything's galvanized that I used on this. Also, I'm going to attach a link to the patio pour when I actually poured the concrete for the patio so you can get a good look at that. It's within the playlist also of property development. Okay, here we are on top, anchoring that 2x4. All right, you can see that one white fascia there. I was going to leave a section out in the middle, so I had it boxed out already, ready to go. And then I thought, well, you know what? The sun was blasting right in the window there. So I said, well, I'm going to close it up. But if you'll notice let's see if you can see it here. These screws all have a little rubber washer. So that's going to seal it from water going underneath it. And this thing turned out really nice. I'm really happy. You notice, see, there's the post on the front entry, how it's spaced. I was thinking about doing an arch underneath the beam in the front. Let me know what you guys think, if I should do some kind of an arch in between those two posts at the door. I was thinking of something, maybe lattice on an arch shape. I'm not sure what kind of thing. If anybody's got any ideas, let me know in the comments. Yes, she turned out real beautiful. All right, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions concerning your future project or ongoing project, get me on consultation through my website at Odell Complete Concrete. Thank you. Bye.